The Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC, has blamed the nation's electoral laws for the numerous challenges experienced during the conduct of the 2023 general elections. The chairman of the council, Sani Yabagi, made this known in Abuja while giving an update on the recently concluded Liberian elections, which had representatives of the council as part of the election monitoring team. He says the laws guiding the Liberian polls was a major reason for the success of the whole process, blaming Nigerian lawmakers for not considering the interest of Nigerians while making electoral laws.
We don't think what was painted by some national newspapers as far as the elections was concerned, where they said that about 94% of the election is being contested, in the courts. And they now say that it is an indication, or it's a sign of failure of INEC. We rather say no, it's the failure of National Assembly. And I'll tell you why. The National Assembly is responsible for the Electoral Act which we are using. INEC cannot but work with the Electoral Act given to them. We political parties cannot but work with the Electoral Act, what the Electoral Act says. So it's not the failure of politicians or INEC. It's the failure of our representatives in the National Assembly. Because when you look at even what happened, is because there's so much ambiguity in that Electoral Act, which led to, from the primaries, we had a lot of problems from the primaries, and that's why, and most of the cases were pre-election cases, the primaries, because we ourselves, the politicians, the political parties, were grappling, we were, back and forth with INEC on some of the provisions. So what we should look at as the people of this country, the citizens, is to see how do we get National Assembly to do things that will be in the best interest of this country. That Electoral Act does not reflect what this country really deserve, in terms of having an election that will be credible and reliable. So we can do, the press can do better by beaming their searchlight on the National Assembly. You can remember how much we have to do before we get them to even put in that Electoral Act the transmission of results from the polling units. And even when they put it there, they took it away again. So our eyes should be open. We shouldn't be chasing shadow, living substance. The substance of this case, as far as our election process is concerned, is the law, which is the grand norm here. And the National Assembly are the people who are supposed to give us the law that is very clear, to everybody. Because most of those cases they are talking about came as a result of the primaries, and it wasn't that politicians didn't want to do it right. We just didn't know what to do. Some of them, there are a lot of confusion in that Electoral Act. So we should revisit Electoral Act. They shouldn't blame the INEC or blame us, the politicians. We should blame the National Assembly. And if at all anybody should blame again, I think it's judiciary, because they should have looked at these things beyond, in a manner that will give the country a very sound, democracy, to sit on, because these two institutions are key to democracy. That's why I'm talking about it here. I saw what happened in Liberia. I saw people that are committed to their nation. And here you have people elected are serving only their own interest. You can say they are politicians, yes, but once we have elected them, they are no longer under our control anymore. So it's you guys that can really get them to do what they are supposed to do in the interest of this country. It's not INEC, it is not the politicians. It is the law. We can't do anything outside the law. This is a constitutional democracy that we are operating in this country. Everything must go by the law. The law given to us is so obscured. So INEC is a victim. We are also victims.